Morning, everybody. I realized my last live, somehow the voice wasn't working, the sound wasn't working. So I'm here to redo it. There's two leadership styles, and I see them in every single organization, which is fascinating to me. And, you could certainly say to me, well, how do you know it's in every organization? Well, because it's in all of us, right? And it's leaders aren't exempt from it. So there's two kinds of leadership styles, and one is primal and small-minded. It's I call it limited thinking, and versus powerful limitless thinking. And leaders that are in what I call the acorn brain, the small-minded mode. Here's how you can tell: they're defensive, they're controlling, they want things done a certain way. That's the control aspect. They are anxious, stressed, fearful, angry, and people can see their emotions, disappointed. Your team can feel those emotions, and those are small minded, primal thoughts, which yield small minded, primal energy on your team. People are afraid to speak up. And for leaders that are open minded, powerful, limitless thinkers, here's the difference in some of their descriptives. They're curious, they're trustful, they trust others, they embrace exploration, and they don't make people wrong. They allow some space between their own judgment, their own thoughts, and question whether it's real or not. Is it correct? Because the most powerful part of this brain, the acorn brain, the small minded thinker, is it wants to be right. And people will go to the nth degree. We can see that in this society, defending themselves and making others wrong. And if you're doing that as a leader, you're encouraging small minded, primal thinking and behaviors in your team. Some of the behaviors that are small minded and primal are gossip, finger pointing, approval seeking, defensive reactions, anger, anxiety, stress, overwhelm, frustration, sadness. They want comfort, right? So they don't stretch much out of their comfort zone. Resistance, fighting the moment, wanting things to be different and believing things can't change, right? They're defeated thinkers. And if you're being run by any of those emotions right now, and if you're meeting with people and you have some of those emotions, they can feel it, they can sense it. Did you ever walk into a room and say, wow, you can cut the tension in here with a knife? It's because people sense the energy. So, as a leader, if you're in powerful, limitless thinking, here's some of the emotions that will give you a clue that you're in this kind of thinking: courage, curiosity, creativity, purpose. You know, you're doing your work here on earth. Could be the soul's work. It depends how you look at having a higher power. Clarity, innovation, trust, forward action, joy, present moment gratitude and surrender, peace, accomplishment. Things always work out. You have a certainty about your goals, knowing you're competent. There's only wins in learning, no losses or failing. Inspiration. You're an inspiring leader if you're open and not small minded. That's the key. And those are the two differences. Now, I'll tell you a story about one leader. I did some consulting in a company for a couple of years, and this particular leader, when they had management meetings, would talk about other people who were not in the room, talk about the sales team, talk about other department leaders, talk about managers that hadn't made the meeting. And so what happened is it created a culture of fear and gossip. People were talking about each other because their leader modeled that behavior. Their leader was small minded. Ben Franklin once said that A person all tied up in themselves makes for a very small bundle. It's limited thinking and wanting control and defending. If you're a leader in doing those things, you're encouraging that behavior on your team. So don't be surprised if you don't get the results you want, and then you start getting more things to be angry about, more things to want to control instead of letting go, instead of surrendering. Another story that I read about is one of the leaders of Ford. The CEO had an attitude of winning and helping people win. And in his executive team, in a company that large, remember, if he had 20 people on his executive team, they were leading very large teams. So he would have them come in to report on the areas that they were in charge of and to report on their business development objectives, what they had given themselves, probably in conjunction with what the CEO saw for goals. They gave themselves business development objectives, and he would ask them in the meetings to come in and report. And here's what he did. One is he said, you come to me and give a green light, a yellow light, or a red light. Green light means everything's working in terms of your objectives and you're making progress. Yellow light is you have some caution. And then you would report on the caution. Red light is it's not working, at least for now, and they would report on that. In the beginning, most of his executive team gave green lights, and he didn't believe it. He knew they weren't reporting the truth. So he set some boundaries in the room because he noticed something in the room. If there was one person that reported a yellow light, people were rolling their eyes, people were looking at each other, they were sighing, they had uncomfortable body language, or they were shifting like, yeah, see, Joe's not working. He's not getting things done, or Mary isn't achieving her goals. They were making others uncomfortable with their behavior. So he put a boundary around it. He said, when any of you report, I want no reactions in the room, no sighing, no shifting, no eye rolling, no looking at one another, nothing that would make any of us uncomfortable. And in the ensuing weeks that followed, there were more yellow lights and red lights because now they knew they could report the truth and they understood that's what he wanted. He wasn't going to make them wrong if they had a red light. And they discussed it and found ways to help each other. And it became, for him, a very uplifting meeting, and who was modeling it. And it became a very uplifting team, and they changed the culture of Ford. It didn't mean they were without challenges. Public companies, right, have a lot of fingers pointing from the outside in, shareholders, board members, etc. And he had a team that built a culture that was very positive. It was powerful. It was limitless because they weren't afraid to discuss their challenges. And that's the kind of leader that's powerful, limitless. And the leaders that are primal thinkers and small-minded, limited thinkers, no surprise, they ended up with teams that were small-minded, primal thinkers because it was modeled by the leader, by the CEO. And then that broke down to all the subsequent teams that their executive teams were managing. It trickled down through the whole company. Gossip, finger pointing, lack of accountability, people not standing up for whatever the truth was. They weren't willing to report what they knew was really going on because they were afraid they were going to get made fun of, or it was called a loss or a failure. They were afraid of embarrassment from each other because they were making fun of each other or talking about each other after the meetings, and it got around. And that's what led to a culture in a company that wasn't healthy. And who's responsible? The CEO. Or if you're leading a team, you're responsible for the results you're seeing. And to ask yourself, How am I modeling this behavior that I'm seeing on my team? You'll know if it's small-minded, primal thinking that you're predominantly stuck in or not. And by the way, both may occur in a CEO. You may have times where you're stuck in something that you want to control it more, that you are encouraging primal, small-minded, limited thinking. It's okay. Catch it and then make the shift. Hey, the last few weeks, I know I've been tough. I've been stuck in my control habit. I've been stuck in some of my limited thinking. It's human. And when you admit it, that's vulnerable. And then your leaders are willing to say that that's where they're stuck and they caught themselves in small-minded, primal, limited thinking. And all humans have it, by the way, but most people don't notice. They don't notice because they believe they're thinking. Your brain is brilliant, but it's not always your friend. I wrote that book. The question is, which one are you going to be predominantly modeling? And if you can rise above your own thinking, you develop a level of thinking above your thinking, and you begin to notice the low energy, low frequency, primal, small-minded, limited thinking. And here's how you can tell. There's a list of emotions that are associated with primal, small-minded, low frequency, limited thinking. Fear, scarcity, control, overthinking, perfection pressure, approval seeking, comparison, defensive reactions, fear of failure. What if this goes wrong? Anger, anxiety, stress, overwhelm, frustration, sadness, desperation, stuck in comfort. You don't want to change. You don't want to make yourself uncomfortable. Resistance to the moment instead of surrender, fighting the moment, wanting things to be different and not believing things can change, right? That, oh, it's hopeless. That's defeat. You can't do anything right. That's your brain telling you. They're low frequency, primal survival thinking. That's why it's primal, tied to the cave. These emotions are also the acorn brain energy thinking. It's small-minded. So how do you know if you're in high frequency, powerful, creative thinking? And know that you're modeling it. Here's some of the emotions. Curiosity, purpose. You're doing your work. Could be your soul's work if you believe in a higher power. I encourage that. Clarity, trust, forward action, forward movement, present moment, gratitude and surrender, joy. You're looking at life as happening for you and you're looking for the gift. And when something isn't happening according to the results you'd like to see, then you're asking, how did you create it? And what is this happening for? How is this happening for me? Because it's urging you to change in some way. It's asking, life itself is showing up to help you and coach you when you look for life happening as a gift, that it's happening for you, not to you. You're more peaceful. You're stress-free. You accomplish things. You have the thinking that things always work out. You have certainty, knowing your team is competent. There's only wins in learning, no losses. Inspiration. They're high frequency, powerful thoughts, limitless thoughts. It's what I call the dragon mind energy, the powerful dragon, not the fire breathing dragon. It's the dragon that you finally decide life is for you. You make life a friend. And when things don't match your picture, you're looking at what can you do differently? What's the gift in this? That is a place that's difficult for many leaders because they're stuck in believing they're right. They're stuck in small-minded, limited thinking. And if that's where you're stuck, the good news is, imagine not knowing. You can shift in any time And that's the work I do with leaders. I only work with CEOs and their teams. And I start with the CEO because when they change, things change. And if they have a lot of complaints about the company, it starts at the top. What they're modeling to their executive teams, then what their executive teams are modeling to their directors and officers, and then what their directors are modeling to their managers and supervisors all throughout the company. The beauty is you can change it at any time. And when you start getting vulnerable enough to say, hey, I just caught myself defending. So let's talk about what's occurring and why I might be defending it. Let's talk about it. Because I'm taking it personal, because I want to control it. That leads people in a new direction when a CEO can talk that way. Catch themselves, because it's human. We're not always going to be in powerful, limitless thinking. We're going to be in small-minded, primal thinking. And it's okay. Imagine not knowing. And when you catch it, things happen, right? Things change. I'll show you a couple of my books. One is, this is what this series is based on. Your brain is brilliant, but it's not always your friend. By the way, if you have questions, you can email me, Steve at stevelentini.com. I'm glad to help, right? So this is, your brain is brilliant, but it's not always your friend. And this is why your brain is not always a friend, and simple strategies to change that. I also wrote No BS Coaching. Wake up from the BS stories you tell yourself. Every team and every leader has BS stories that they tell themselves. And as Dr. Even Albie agrees, as Dr. James Doty talks about, think of your subconscious this way: a file system and a bloodhound. Whatever you put in the file system, the bloodhound searches for evidence of that, despite any evidence to the contrary. As a leader, you want to be the opposite of that. You want to put caution on what you put into the file system. And you want to be willing to look for evidence to the contrary of your own thinking and your own belief systems, right? That's another term for, a more popular term for BS. I like BS. We know what that stands for. It's what we tell ourselves, stories. I also wrote the book How to Train Your Mind, written by a dragon. Because I'm born in the year of the dragon. This is how to reprogram the mind. So I'm doing this work on myself. First of all, I have not found the way, so that you know. And I tell people, if I ever tell you I found the way to run the mind perfectly, run away. So the question is, which kind of leader are you? Are you both? I would say yes, because we all get stuck in things where we believe a certain thing, or we believe something about one of our employees or team members. It's to question those thoughts. It doesn't mean you're wrong, but catch the power that we can see in society today of people wanting to be right and then pointing the finger at everybody else and making them wrong. Look at our leaders are doing this today. You're wrong. No, you're wrong. No, your side is wrong. No, your side is wrong. And the fascinating thing is our leaders are modeling that and then expecting the general population to behave better. Our leaders are behaving poorly. Pointing fingers is a very immature, small-minded, limited thinking. Powerful thinking is non-judgmental. It's open to a dialogue, curious, questioning, discussing things, not taking anything personally. Taking something personal is a choice. Have you ever heard people say, listen, it's who I am, it's how I am, get over it? That's never true. It's what they're choosing. And that's limited. When you limit yourself by saying, it's who I am, get over it, it's small-minded, very limiting. It's not powerful. It's primal thoughts. And we all have them. So again, if you have any questions, this is I'll show you how to spell my name. Steve Lentini, right? So you go over here, Steve at Steve Lentini. I got to get used to this. Steve at stevelentini.com. Here's another book I just wrote. You missed God on the way to the mosque, the temple, or the church. How to see God everywhere. When you see that life is for you, when you decide that it's happening for you, you'll know that it's God or whatever you consider your higher power to be pushing you to grow. It's showing up as something to bother you. That's where the biggest gifts are, is in what bothers you, in the people that bug you, in the events that bother you. That's where the greatest gifts are, because it's life itself or God moving you to change and to ask, how can I change? What can I learn from this? What can I be grateful for in this? Is this a redirection? Is this life asking me to grow and change by moving to something new, a new thought, a new position, a new way of doing things? And as leaders, if you're small-minded, thinking takes over, because we all have it, the primal thinking, the acorn brain. If you don't catch it, then it takes over. That models a behavior to your teams. And their low frequency primal thoughts will create that same culture in your company. Powerful, limitless thinking, high frequency thinking. And if you email me, I'm glad to send you the emotions that are tied to both kinds of thinking. The emotions tied to primal, powerless, small-minded thinking, limited thinking. So it's another way to know that you're stuck in that mode, is to feel what you're feeling. What emotions are showing up? If they're powerful, you'll know the difference, because I have the list. I'm glad to send it to you. I've got the list of both. Again, you email me, Steve at stevelentini.com. I'm also glad to give you a free coaching. And you can also go to the acornbraincoach.com, the acornbraincoach.com, where I've created a GPT that has absorbed all of my writing, all of my blogs, all of my videos, all of the books. And I created a way for you to get some coaching without having to pay for a coach. It's not an inexpensive investment, by the way. It's well worth it. And you can go to my Chat GPT. You have to have a free Chat GPT account. You get a 7-day free trial. And if you don't like it, fine. The Acorn Brain Coach, if you do like it, is $29 a month. It's reasonable. It'll always be there to give you ideas and suggestions, as well as I'm always here. And so are all the thousands of coaches across the country. I only work with executives, CEOs, and their executive teams. And again, it has to be a fit, because some people aren't willing to question themselves. The first person I'm going to question is the CEO, and get feedback about them, so that they can learn and grow and expand into powerful, limitless thinking versus the acorn brain, small-minded, primal thinking. Those are the two styles of leadership. And by the way, if you're honest, you'll admit that you switch from one to the other and back and forth. That's the true leader. Admits that they also have embarrassing places and embarrassing moments and lessons, not failures, learns things they've learned. Because what did you learn without ever having some embarrassing moments? Did you learn how to ski or sail or bowl or baseball or football, or the first time you rode a bike? How about walking? Did you learn to walk without falling? But as kids, we didn't care, right? It wasn't embarrassing. Later on, humans learn embarrassment and humiliation and what's called failure. They're lessons. Life is a gift. It's an amazing miracle, only if we view it that way. And most people alternate between both thoughts. Life's a gift, and life is, you want to hear my story? You want to hear what happened to me last week? You want to hear what my boss did last week? That's a tale of woe. It's powerless, primal thinking. And it's okay, because we're human. And the beauty of looking at life as a gift, eventually you get off the story of, why is this happening to me? why me? Instead, you're asking the what questions. What in this can I be grateful for? What's the gift in this? What is this here to teach me? How can I learn and grow from this? And you understand that life is bothering you to wake you up. Life is bothering you on purpose. It's a gift. Don't take my word for it. Prove it to yourself. Thank you.